Module 1, The Head, Learning to See. How to draw a head. Think of my fist as a human head. You begin by studying the head from all sides, observing its different facets. There is light falling on my fist from one side, creating highlights and shadows. These are in turn creating various shapes. So you will observe various shapes within this one single form. So understand carefully that when you view something from far, you first see a form, a basic form, and the details at this point are not visible from distance. I will introduce you to a method of observation that helps obtain the basic form of any object we intended to draw. I will be reminding you of this method all through the process of drawing. Look at the subject or object of drawing with half-closed eye vision. By doing so, you dissolve all details and will be left with a form, a blur form of the head. So we begin by drawing this blur form and derive the basic form of the head or any other object. Once you have the basic form of the object, we start adding details step by step. We observe the different facets of the object at this point. For example, lines, tonal variation, and planes. My suggestion is that you observe the head for 10 minutes from all sides before you attempt to draw it on paper. You may also feel the head or the object with your hands to get a better, deeper understanding of its structure. Every head has a different shape and it also consists of planes. The number of planes you see depends completely on your viewpoint or from which angle are you observing your model. Another interesting fact is the almond shape that gets repeated in a structure of a face. The eyes are almond shaped. The nose is a big almond. The lips are 4 horizontal almonds kept together. The entire head is an almond-shaped oval. The concept of the almond shape is called the golden mean section. Speaking of the head further, along with the form of the head, take time to observe, go and feel the head, watch carefully the shapes of the eyes, nose and other facial features, the direction in which lines move, the depression and raised area in the face. So do as I had mentioned before of observing the head of the model as a whole, seeing the form through half-closed vision, noticing the shapes and planes, its facial feature, his eyes, nose and ears, light and shade and other important character lines or forms that makes his face unique. Just as a flash and shutter work together in a camera, your mind and hand should also work simultaneously while sketching or drawing. The brain and hand must have a strong connection. The eyes see and carefully observe while the brain sends a command to your hand and draws what the eye sees by pulling out from its memory bank the line required to draw the subject. Simultaneously, the mind begins to interpret its subject on paper. All this work happens in a single moment during the process of drawing. The first step in the process of drawing is the ability to recognize the basic form that the eye see things as a blob of grey or black form. To draw a head through the study of lines, forms and shapes, one must develop a sharp sense of observation. Head is a total form and this form has different shapes. It sounds tricky but is actually a very simple concept. There are shapes in every form, but the vice versa is not necessarily true. The basic form of a human head is always an oval. However, every human being around you does not have an identical head, and the shape of the head varies with each person. There are three main shapes of the head: triangle, square, and an oval shape. This shape of the face of this model is between an oval and a square. So I will draw the basic shape of the head and slicing the oval ones horizontally and ones vertically to get 4 equal parts. Further divide the two horizontal halves equally to get 4 horizontal divisions of the oval face. The first horizontal line is the mark of the hairline. Second is for the placement of the eyes. The third is making the end of the nose, and the last horizontal line is the mouth. The moustache and the hair are related by the tone. They are the same tone and also make for the focal point of the face. It is very important for a portrait artist to see the main focal point, as to which facet or facial feature contributes in building the main focal point of the face. Sometimes eyes are the focal point, or the ears. In this case, his moustache are the main focal point. It is the first thing you notice in his face. The interest is further enhanced as the moustache are the same tone and character as his hair on the head. You may measure the proportions of the face with the pencil. It is a method of mechanical measurement. I will elaborate on in other lesson. Till you don't know this method, you may continue to visually measure the proportions through close observation. It is also the route that I suggest for you at this point. I will begin by developing the shape of the hair and continue building the front shape of the face. So develop the contour of the frontal view of the face starting from the hair all the way to the chin. Recheck the placement of the facial features and make final lines where the features will be placed. Since the model is below the eye level, the lines will appear like this. Had he been above the eye level, the lines would have been drooping down. Make the center line and divide the face vertically. Keep this line as it helps to keep a check on a balanced and correct placement of the facial features. I will make the point for the eyes, one point for each eye placed on equal distance from the center line, the V shape for the nostril, suggesting the placement of the nose, and the center of the V shape will be placed just on the center line. Draw the shape of the moustache and place the mouth accordingly through careful observation. Keep in mind that the center line is to help you check that the features are being placed equally on both sides of the face. The nose, moustache and mouth are equal on the right and left side of the central axis line. I will now add lines outside the structure of the oval head, for example, the hair and ears. So this is the observation of the head and face from the front view. The sketch has the essence of the model. I will now demonstrate another observation of the head and face, the model that is comparatively younger and he is above my eye level. So the lines will be slightly drooping. I am using a different method to construct the face of this model. I will begin by drawing a vertical central axis line and making quick points for the placement of facial features, eyes, nose, mouth and chin. The current model has a different face cut than the previous model. This model has less distance between the eyes and nose than the previous old model. The current young model has fuller well carved lips than the previous model. The difference is also due to age. These observations are important. They help you understand various faces and how they are built. I continue to construct the features. Even when you get the basic form and proportion of the features and contours of the face correctly, you will see that the essence of the model has been captured. The resemblance to your model will be very clear at that nascent stage of the drawing itself. Half close your eyes, eliminate the details, and you will be left with the essence of the model. You will see the tonal variation as well as the light and shade. Shade the features slightly according to the light falling on the face. The light on this face falls from the left side, creating shadows on the right side of his face. Now observe the eyebrows, corner of the eye and the edges of the face next to the eye socket. This measurement is very important when building up a face from the inside traveling to the contours. I will draw the ears. Half close your eyes and measure the distance of this area. How far is the edges of the face from the corner of the eye? I will go straight up creating the hairline simultaneously. The area between the eye and the nostril is where the ear fits in. Notice the important point like the tip of the chin, end of the ear and hairline. These lines and points to construct and measure distance and proportion are important. Make a mental note of these while drawing. If the model moves, these construction points will move too. Let's observe another model and see how this phase is different than the earlier two phases that I drew. Our third model has a perfect oval shape and is sitting at a different angle. To make your drawing easier, do the basic division of the face for correct proportions. I will make the lines for the placement of the facial features. And begin by drawing the eyes first. Our model has sunken eyes, but they are sharper than the second model. Observe and draw one eye first, make it well and then draw the rest. Make this one eye as your focal point. Now half close your eyes and observe the light . And dark of the area around the nose to get the form of the nose. And by using this observation, draw the contours of the nostrils. The central axis line is your line to see if you are placing the feature in balance, equally dividing them on both the sides. This is a general guideline. However, some faces may differ. You may come across somebody whose mouth falls more towards one side. I am drawing the rest of the face, developing the another eye, shading the dark areas and forming strong deep shadows around it. The eyes of the model are his most defining feature, and most important character lines of his face are in and around his eye socket. Shade the another dark areas against light. The right side of the nose and his lips that appear pursed. Following this with the beard and his hairline. It is very crucial to measure distance from one feature to another. And I will finally develop the curves of the hairline and ears. Before I shade the right side of the face with strong diagonal strokes. Develop the right ears, carefully observing the shape and form. The sense of observation has to be developed by carefully looking at things and being constantly aware of the forms and shapes that we see around us. Pupil good at drawing are very capable of viewing the subject as one single form and dismantling the same object into several small parts, thus simplifying the process of understanding the object that they are trying to draw. Finish the portrait by quick strokes across the head, forming hairs and the shape of the beard. Let me demonstrate a profile drawing of the head by using our first model sitting sideways. The basic rules remain the same. Draw the oval form of the head and make the lines to place the facial features. Half close your eyes and draw the form of the features, keeping in mind the proportion and distance of each feature from the other. See how quickly I draw the forehead lines, the form of the nose, his lips and moustache. The chin line shifts in slightly towards the neck. I will work on the forehead and start work on the eye that's visible from this angle. The interesting fact is that in a profile face, the central axis line shifts all the way to one end, forming the edge of the face. For example, in this case, the central axis line has shifted entire to the right side. I will develop the form of the eye and give very few details through some lines. Those are wrinkles around his eye socket, given the old age of the model. These lines form character lines of this particular model. See how beautiful and interesting it is to develop the oval shape of the head in a side profile. Measure the distance from the tip of the head to the corner of the eye or any other point you may choose to use as an important mark of measuring distance. By doing so, you would not draw the oval of the head too big or small. I will develop hair by adding strokes resembling the hair of the model. Darken the shadow areas of the lips, eyes, and nostril. I will add important character lines near the mouth and mustache before I move on to draw the ears and back of the head. I am giving just the basic form of the ears and not adding any details. As a finishing touch, I add a strong quick stroke to define the neck. I will demonstrate another drawing of the side profile with a new model. Starting with the same steps of drawing the oval shape and dividing the same in 4 equal parts for the facial features. I will then start drawing the contours of the side profile of our last portrait study for this lesson. You will soon notice that the nose of our model has a very peculiar shape and that adds a very strong character on his face. The minute you draw the form of the nose correctly, you will capture the essence of the model. I will scribble the mustache and draw the lips. Moving on to the chin. Keep the proportions in mind and visually measure the distance between the facial features. Check how much the chin stand out. Is it a protruding chin or does the line of the chin moves towards the neck? Now I will draw the oval shape of the head and measure the distance to draw the eyebrow area. Developing the eye further, I will add depth to the eye through shadows and drawing sketchy lines below the eye to add more depth to the entire eye socket. I will draw the hair through some quick strokes. Since the light falls from behind, I add shadows to the front part of the face and inside the ear. Take at least 10 minutes to observe your model, to observe the different facets, angles and movements. As a finishing touch, I add a strong quick stroke to define the neck. This brings us to the end of this lesson. Draw many such portraits through sharp observation and continue to practice.